She breastfed the wrong baby at 2 a.m., too exhausted to check the hospital bracelet, and by the time the Korean MAFIA boss walked in and saw his son latched to her breast, it was already too late. In my culture, when a woman feeds a child from her body, she creates a bond that cannot be broken, he said, stepping so close she could smell danger and expensive cologne mixing together. You gave my son your milk, your essence. That makes you mine now. 3 days later, he was at her apartment, then her grocery store, then everywhere she turned. When Russian kidnappers grabbed her on a Chicago street, his bullets tore through them before she could scream because Hyunwoo Park protects what's his, and she became his property the moment his son tasted her milk. Will Adana escape the MAFIA boss who claims she's his, or will one nursing mistake trap her in his dangerous world forever? Subscribe and watch to find out. The baby in Adana's arms wouldn't stop crying. Her breasts ached with milk. Her head spun from exhaustion, and the fluorescent lights of Chicago Memorial Hospital's nursery buzzed like angry bees above her. She had given birth only 3 days ago, and her body still felt like it belonged to someone else. The night shift nurse had brought her a screaming infant from the nursery, and Adana didn't think twice. Her maternal instincts took over. She lifted her gown and guided the hungry mouth to her breast. The baby latched immediately, and blessed silence filled the room. Adana leaned back against the pillows, closing her eyes. Her own son, David, was sleeping peacefully in the bassinet beside her bed. At least she thought he was. The exhaustion made everything fuzzy. She stroked the feeding baby's soft black hair and hummed a lullaby her grandmother used to sing in Nigeria. The little one's tiny fist curled against her skin, and her heart melted. "You're so hungry, aren't you, sweet boy?" she whispered. The door burst open. A man filled the doorway, and Adana's breath caught in her throat. He was tall, dressed in a black suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, and his face was carved from stone. Korean, she thought immediately. His dark eyes swept the room like a predator searching for prey, and when they landed on her, on the baby at her breast, those eyes went wide. "What are you doing?" His voice was deep, accented and sharp as a blade. Adana looked down at the baby, then at her own bassinet, where another infant slept. Her heart stopped. 2 babies. There were 2 babies. Horror crashed over her like a wave. "Oh my God!" She stared at the man, then at the nursing infant. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. The nurse brought him and I thought he was mine, and I didn't even check the bracelet, and I'm so sorry." She moved to pull the baby away, but the man crossed the room in 3 long strides. Up close, he was even more intimidating. A scar ran along his jawline, barely visible, but definitely there. His expensive cologne mixed with something else, something dangerous she couldn't name. "Don't." He held up one hand, and she froze. "Don't take him away suddenly. You'll upset him." His eyes dropped to where his son, because this had to be his son, was still contentedly feeding. Something flickered across that hard face. Pain, maybe, or longing. "I'm so sorry," Adana said again, her voice shaking. "I just had my baby, and I'm so tired, and the nurse brought him, and I assumed he was David." "David." The man repeated her son's name slowly, as if tasting it. He looked at the sleeping infant in the bassinet, then back at his own child. "My son is Min Jun." The baby finally released her breast, milk drunk and satisfied. Adana quickly covered herself, her face burning hot with embarrassment. She'd just breastfed a stranger's baby, a stranger who looked like he could buy the entire hospital with his pocket change. Hyunwoo, because that's what the bracelet on the baby's wrist said when she finally checked it, carefully lifted his son from her arms. His movements were gentle, practiced. The baby curled into his father's chest without waking. How did this happen? Adana asked, her voice barely a whisper. The night nurse is new, incompetent. He said it like he was stating facts, not angry, just cold. She will be fired. No, please. Adana sat up straighter despite her body's protests. It was an honest mistake. I should have checked. Don't let her lose her job because of me. Those dark eyes studied her face for a long moment. You defend someone who made you commit this error. Everyone makes mistakes when they're tired. The corner of his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. He looked down at Min-jun, who was sleeping peacefully against his shoulder. When he looked back at Adana, something in his expression had shifted. In my country, there is an old belief, he said quietly. When a woman feeds a child from her body, she creates a bond with that child, a bond that cannot be broken. Adana's mouth went dry. It was an accident. Some people don't believe in accidents. He stepped closer to her bed, and she caught herself leaning back. Some people believe in fate. I don't understand. You gave my son something precious. Your milk, your body, your care. In my world, this means something. The way he said, my world, sent chills down her spine. What world? What did he mean? I need your information, he continued, pulling out a phone with one hand while holding his son with the other. Your full name, your phone number, your address. Why? Adana clutched the hospital sheets. It was just a mistake. Because now, you're connected to my son. I need to know you're safe. I need to know where you are. That's crazy. She tried to sound brave, but her voice wobbled. You can't just demand my information because of an accident. He tilted his head, studying her like she was a puzzle he was trying to solve. What's your name? Adana. Adana. He said it perfectly, the Nigerian pronunciation rolling off his tongue like he'd spoken Igbo his whole life. Beautiful name. It means father's daughter. Yes. She blinked. How do you know that? I know many things. He shifted Min-jun to his other shoulder. My name is Hyunwoo Park, and whether you believe it or not, what happened tonight changed everything. The door opened again, and two men in dark suits entered. They didn't knock. They didn't ask permission. They just walked in and stood on either side of Hyunwoo like matching guard dogs. Adana's heart hammered. Who are they? My associates. Hyunwoo glanced at the men, then back at her. Give me your phone number, Adana. I'll have my people check on you and your son. Make sure you both stay healthy. Your people? She looked between the three men, reality starting to sink in. The expensive suits, the guards, the way he commanded the room like he owned it. What kind of businessman are you? His smile was slow and didn't reach his eyes. The kind who takes care of what's mine. I'm not yours. My son drank from your body. That makes you part of my world now. He pulled out a business card and set it on her bedside table. You'll give the nurse your information before you leave the hospital. She'll make sure I receive it. And if I don't? He moved closer, so close she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. Then I'll find it myself. But I'd rather you give it freely. The threat was quiet, almost gentle, but it was definitely a threat. Fine. Adana grabbed a pen from the table and scribbled her number on a piece of paper. Her hand shook. Here. But this doesn't mean anything. It was just an accident. He took the paper, his fingers brushing hers. His touch was warm, electric. Keep telling yourself that. Hyunwoo turned to leave, then paused at the door. One more thing, Adana. You fed my son tonight when he was hungry. You showed him kindness. I don't forget kindness. His eyes locked with hers. But I also don't forget debts. And now, you owe me something precious. I don't owe you anything. You gave my son your milk, your essence, your life force. He adjusted the sleeping baby in his arms. In my culture, That's a debt that can never be repaid, which means you and I are bound together now. That's insane. Perhaps. He smiled then, really smiled, and it transformed his entire face. He went from terrifying to devastating in a heartbeat. But you'll learn, Adana. You'll learn that I always collect what's owed to me. Then he was gone, his guards following behind him like shadows. Adana sat in the sudden silence, staring at the business card on her table. The name meant nothing to her. The company meant nothing. But her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She looked at David, her beautiful sleeping son, and a cold feeling settled in her stomach. What had she just done? Who was that man? And why did his words sound less like a promise and more like a threat? The business card gleamed under the fluorescent lights. She should throw it away. She should forget this ever happened. But something told her forgetting Hyunwoo Park would be impossible. Adana saw him again on Tuesday morning. She was walking out of her apartment building on the south side of Chicago, David strapped to her chest in a baby carrier, when a black Mercedes pulled up to the curb. The back window rolled down, and there he was, Hyunwoo Park, looking like he'd stepped out of a magazine in his grey suit and dark sunglasses. "Good morning, Adana." Her stomach flipped. "What are you doing here?" "I was in the neighbourhood." He gestured to the driver, and the car door opened. He stepped out, and she noticed he was holding a large shopping bag with a designer label she recognised from television. "I brought something for David. How do you know where I live?" She backed up a step, her hand instinctively covering David's head. "I told you. I take care of what's mine." He held out the bag. "It's just clothes and some toys. Minjun has too many, so I thought David might enjoy them." Adana stared at the bag like it might explode. "I can't accept gifts from you." "Why not?" "Because I don't know you. Because you showing up at my home is creepy. Because everything about this is wrong." His jaw tightened. "Wrong is letting a child go without when I have plenty to give. David isn't going without anything." "No?" His eyes travelled over her faded jeans and old jacket. "You work as a nurse, single mother. Hospital wages in Chicago barely cover rent." He stepped closer. "Let me help." "I don't need your help." She tried to walk past him, but he moved into her path, not touching her, not threatening, just there, solid and immovable. "Everyone needs help sometimes, Adana. Not from you." She met his eyes, forcing herself to be brave. "Stay away from me and my son. Whatever you think happened at the hospital, it was nothing. Just a mistake." Something dangerous flashed across his face. "You keep saying that word, mistake, but I don't believe in mistakes." "Well, I do. Now move." He studied her for a long moment, then stepped aside. But as she passed, he spoke quietly. "You'll change your mind." She didn't answer. She just walked faster, her heart pounding against David's tiny body. 2 days later, he was at the grocery store. Adana was trying to decide between 2 brands of diapers, calculating prices in her head, when she felt someone watching her. She turned, and there he was, leaning against the end of the aisle like he had all the time in the world, watching her with those intense dark eyes. "You're following me." Her voice came out shakier than she wanted. "I'm shopping." He gestured to the empty cart beside him. "You don't have anything in your cart." "I just started." He moved closer, and she noticed he smelled different today. Less cologne, more soap, and something woodsy. "How's David?" "Fine. Great. Why do you care?" "Because Minjun asks about him." The admission seemed to cost him something. "He cries less since that night, like he remembers your scent, your warmth." Adana's throat tightened. "Babies don't remember things like that." "Don't they?" He picked up the more expensive package of diapers and put it in her cart. "These are better. They don't leak." "I didn't ask for your opinion." No, but I'm giving it anyway. He added a pack of wipes, then some baby lotion. Min Jun had terrible diaper rash until we switched to this brand. Stop putting things in my cart. Why? He kept adding items, formula, even though she was breastfeeding, baby clothes in the next size up, a stuffed elephant that David was too young for. You need them. That's not the point. She started taking things out, but he just put them back in. They went back and forth like that, a strange dance in the diaper aisle until Adana wanted to scream. Why are you doing this? He stopped, his hand frozen over a package of bottles. When he looked at her, really looked at her, she saw something raw in his expression. Because no one helped me when Min Jun was born. His mother died on the operating table, and I had to figure everything out alone. The crying, the feeding, the fear that I was doing it all wrong. His voice dropped. I don't want that for you. Adana's anger deflated slightly. I'm sorry about your wife. She wasn't my wife. She was someone I cared about once. But thank you. He cleared his throat, and the vulnerable moment passed. Let me pay for these. Absolutely not. Adana. The way he said her name made her shiver. Don't fight me on this. I fight you on everything. She pushed the cart past him. And you need to stop showing up everywhere I go. It's not normal. I'm not a normal man. That, she was beginning to understand, was the truest thing he'd ever said. The paediatrician's office was the final straw. Adana was sitting in the waiting room with David on her lap when Hyunwoo walked in with Min Jun. The baby saw her and immediately reached out, making happy noises. Hyunwoo's face softened in a way she hadn't seen before. He remembers you, Hyunwoo said, sitting in the chair next to hers without asking. He always remembers you. This can't be a coincidence. Adana looked around the waiting room. How did you know I'd be here? Same paediatrician. I asked the nurse to schedule Min Jun's appointment at the same time as David's. That's insane. That's efficient. He shifted Min Jun on his lap, and the baby continued reaching for Adana. He wants you to hold him. No, please. The word sounded foreign in his mouth, like he didn't use it often. Just for a moment. He's been fussy all morning. Against her better judgment, Adana reached for Min Jun. The baby came to her eagerly, snuggling against her chest, right next to David. Her heart squeezed at the sight of them. Together, two tiny boys who had no idea how complicated their connection was. This has to stop, she said quietly. Whatever you think is happening here, it needs to stop. I can't stop. His voice was low, meant only for her. Don't you understand yet? You're in danger because of me. What are you talking about? He leaned closer, and she caught that woodsy scent again. I'm not just a businessman, Adana. I run an organization, a family, and my enemies would do anything to hurt me, including hurting the woman who fed my son. The world tilted. You're in a gang. Not a gang. Something bigger. He watched Min Jun settle against her, and the moment you fed Min Jun, you became visible to everyone who wants to destroy me. That's not fair. Panic clawed up her throat. I didn't know. I didn't choose this. No, you didn't. His hand moved, almost touching her knee, then pulled back. But it doesn't matter. You're part of this now, and I protect what's mine. I'm not yours. Keep saying that. His smile was sharp, but we both know the truth. The nurse called David's name and Adana stood quickly, handing Min Jun back. Her hands were shaking as she carried David into the examination room. She could feel Hyunwoo's eyes on her the entire time. That night, everything changed. Adana was walking home from the corner store, David asleep in his carrier, when a van pulled up beside her. The door slid open, and two men jumped out. They wore masks and moved fast. One grabbed her arm, and she screamed, "Shut up!" The man's accent was thick. Russian, maybe. Come with us quiet, and the baby doesn't get hurt. Terror made her body freeze. David. They were threatening David. She opened her mouth to scream again when gunshots cracked through the air. The man holding her dropped, blood blooming across his chest. The second man ran, but more shots followed him. He fell too. Adana's knees buckled. Strong arms caught her, and she looked up into the face of one of Hyunwoo's guards, the one from the hospital. "You're safe now," the guard said in accented English. "Boss is coming." More black cars arrived, surrounding her like a protective wall, and then Hyunwoo was there, his face pale, his hands gentle as he checked her over. "Did they hurt you?" His voice shook with barely controlled rage. "Did they touch David?" "No. Your men. They saved us." She was crying now, shock making her body tremble. "Who were they?" "Russians. They work for a man who wants me dead." He pulled her against his chest, careful of David between them. "This is what I was trying to tell you. This is why you need me." "I don't understand any of this." "You don't have to understand." He tilted her face up, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You just have to trust me. Let me protect you." "I'm scared." "Good. Fear will keep you careful." His thumb brushed away her tears. "Come home with me tonight. My house is safe, guarded. No one can touch you there." "I can't. Just leave my apartment." "Why not? What's there that matters more than David's safety, than your life?" His grip tightened. "They found you once, Adana. They'll find you again. And next time, my men might not be close enough." She looked at the bodies on the ground, at the blood staining the sidewalk, and knew he was right. Everything had changed the moment she fed Minjun. There was no going back to her normal life. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." His smile was triumphant and possessive. "Pack a bag. We leave in 1 hour." As his men cleaned up the scene and his cars surrounded her building, Adana realized something terrifying. Hyunwoo Park hadn't just entered her life, he'd consumed it completely, and she had no idea if she'd ever escape. The mansion in Lake Forest looked like something from a movie. Adana pressed her face against the car window as they drove through massive iron gates. The house sprawled across manicured lawns, all white stone and huge windows that glowed with warm light. Gardens wrapped around it like green ribbons, and she counted at least 3 fountains before she stopped trying. "This is where you live." Her voice came out small. Hyunwoo sat beside her in the back seat, Minjun asleep in his car seat. "This is where we live now." The "we" made her stomach flip. Inside, the mansion was even more overwhelming. Marble floors, chandeliers that sparkled like diamonds, artwork that probably cost more than her entire life. A woman in a neat uniform appeared immediately, speaking rapid Korean to Hyunwoo. He answered in the same language, his voice softer than Adana had ever heard it. "Mrs. Cho will show you to your rooms," Hyunwoo said, switching back to English. "The entire east wing is yours. Private bedroom, bathroom, nursery for David, everything you need." "A whole wing!" Adana clutched David tighter. "That's too much. It's not enough." He moved closer, and she caught that scent again. Tonight it mixed with something spicy, maybe his dinner, but it's what I have to offer. Mrs. Cho led her through hallways that seemed to go on forever. The east wing was like a separate apartment. The bedroom had a bed big enough for 4 people, covered in soft cream blankets. The bathroom had a tub she could swim in, and the nursery made her want to cry. Someone had set it up perfectly, with a crib and changing table and rocking chair positioned near windows that overlooked the gardens. "Mr. Park arranged everything today," Mrs. Cho said in careful English. "He wanted you comfortable." "It's beautiful." Adana blinked back tears. "Thank you." After Mrs. Cho left, Adana fed David and put him down in the new crib. He settled immediately, like he knew he was safe here. She stood watching him sleep, trying to process everything. 24 hours ago, She'd been in her cramped apartment, struggling to pay bills and pretending everything was fine. Now she was living in a mansion with a man who commanded people to kill for him. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "Come in." Hyunwoo entered carrying a tray. "I thought you might be hungry." The smell of food made her stomach growl. Korean dishes she didn't recognize, but they looked delicious. He set the tray on a small table near the window and gestured for her to sit. "You don't have to serve me," Adana said. "I want to." He sat across from her, watching as she picked up chopsticks. "Do you know how to use those?" "A little. I had a Korean roommate in nursing school." She managed to grab a piece of bulgogi and popped it in her mouth. The flavors exploded on her tongue, sweet and savory and perfect. "Oh my God!" His smile was genuine. "You like it? It's amazing." She tried another dish, then another. "What's this one?" "Japchae, glass noodles with vegetables." He leaned forward, pointing with his own chopsticks. "And this is kimchi. It's spicy. Be careful." She tried the kimchi and her eyes watered. Spicy is an understatement. He laughed, actually laughed, and the sound transformed his whole face. "Here." He poured her water from a pitcher, his fingers brushing hers as he handed her the glass. "Better?" "Yes, thank you." She drank deeply, aware of him watching her. "Why are you being so nice to me?" "Why wouldn't I be?" "Because you basically kidnapped me." "I saved you." His voice hardened. "There's a difference." "Is there?" She set down her chopsticks. "You forced me to come here. You didn't give me a real choice. Would you rather be dead?" He stood abruptly, moving to the window. "Those men tonight, they weren't playing games. They would have taken you and David, hurt you to get to me. Is that what you want?" "Of course not." She stood too, anger and fear mixing in her chest. "But I don't want this either. Living in your house, dependent on you, trapped in your world." He turned to face her, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. "You think I trapped you? You trapped yourself the moment you fed my son. You created a bond, Adana, a connection I can't ignore. That's just superstition." "Is it?" He crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping so close she had to tilt her head back to see his face. "Then why does Minjun sleep better when he smells your clothes? Why does he cry for you when you're not around? Why do I think about you every moment you're not near me?" Her heart hammered. "You don't mean that." "I mean every word." His hand came up, fingers barely touching her cheek. "You've been in my head since that night in the hospital. Your kindness, your strength, the way you defended that incompetent nurse, even though she made you vulnerable to me." His thumb traced her lower lip. "You're unlike anyone I've ever met." "Hyunwoo." His name felt strange on her tongue, intimate. "This is crazy." "Yes." He smiled, but it was sad. "Welcome to my world." The days blurred together after that night. Adana fell into a routine. Mornings with David, then breakfast with Hyunwoo and Minjun. The babies were fascinated with each other, reaching for one another across the space between their high chairs. Watching them together made something warm bloom in her chest. Hyunwoo was surprisingly present. Despite running what she now understood was a criminal empire, he made time for Minjun. He changed diapers without complaint, sang Korean lullabies in a voice that made her shiver, and played with his son like they were the only 2 people in the world. "You're a good father," she said one afternoon, watching him stack blocks for Minjun to knock down. He glanced up, something vulnerable flashing across his face. "I try." His mother deserved better than me. What was she like? He was quiet for a long moment, beautiful, sad. We weren't in love, but we cared for each other. She got pregnant by accident, and I promised to take care of her. His jaw tightened. I failed. She died in childbirth. That wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? He stood, moving to the window. My life is dangerous. The stress, the constant fear, it was too much for her body. The doctors said her blood pressure was too high, that the pregnancy complications came from stress. He turned to look at Adana. My world killed her. Or it was just bad luck. Pregnancy complications happen. She moved closer to him. You can't blame yourself for everything. Can't I? His hand clenched into a fist. Every person who gets close to me ends up hurt or dead. My parents, my brother, Minjun's mother, and now you. I'm not dead. Not yet. The words hung heavy between them. Adana shared her own story later that week, during one of their late-night talks in the library. David and Minjun were both asleep upstairs, and she'd come down for some water. She found Hyunwoo reading, and somehow they ended up talking for hours. David's father left when I told him I was pregnant, she said quietly. We were both in nursing school. He said a baby would ruin his career. He offered me money for an abortion. She laughed bitterly, like David was just a problem to be solved. He's a fool. Hyunwoo's voice was hard. David is perfect. I know that, but sometimes I wonder if he was right. If I'm being selfish, raising a baby alone, struggling to make ends meet. She wiped away a tear. Maybe David deserves better than me. Stop! Hyunwoo moved from his chair to sit beside her on the couch. You're an incredible mother. David is lucky to have you. You have to say that. I don't have to say anything. His hand found hers, fingers lacing together. I say it because it's true. The touch sent electricity up her arm. She looked at their joined hands, dark and light, and something shifted in her chest. When had he become so important to her? When had his presence become the thing she looked forward to most each day? Tell me about Nigeria, he said softly. Your home. So she did. She told him about Lagos, about her grandmother's compound, about the smell of Jollof rice cooking and the sound of Afrobeats playing from every window. She taught him a few Igbo phrases, laughing when he mispronounced them. He taught her Korean in return, his mouth forming the words slowly so she could copy him. They talked about food, about culture, about the strange loneliness of living between worlds. He understood, she realized. He knew what it was like to carry two identities, to never quite fit in either place. I miss my grandmother, Adana admitted. She died before David was born. She would have loved him. Tell me about her. And she did, losing herself in memories while Hyunwoo listened like every word mattered. The kiss happened on a rainy Thursday night. They'd put both babies to bed and ended up in the library again. Rain pounded against the windows and lightning flickered in the distance. Adana was curled up on the couch with a book when Hyunwoo sat beside her. What are you reading? She showed him the cover. A romance novel with a muscular man on the front, his eyebrow arched. Is it good? It's silly. She felt her cheeks heat. But it's nice to escape sometimes. What are you escaping from? Reality. Danger. You. The admission slipped out before she could stop it. Am I something to escape from? He moved closer and she could feel the heat of his body. Or something to run toward? I don't know anymore. Her voice came out breathy. You confuse me. You terrify me. His hand cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheekbone. I've killed men without hesitation. I've built an empire on fear. But you, Adana, you make me want to be different. Better. Hyunwoo. She breathed his name and then his mouth was on hers. The kiss was gentle at first, questioning. His lips moved against hers slowly, giving her time to pull away. But she didn't want to pull away. She wanted more. Her hands tangled in his hair, pulling him closer, and he groaned against her mouth. The kiss deepened, became hungry. His tongue traced her lower lip, and she opened for him. He tasted like the whiskey he'd been drinking earlier, warm and smooth. His hands moved to her waist, pulling her onto his lap, and she went willingly. They kissed like they were drowning, and each other was air. His hands roamed her back, her sides, careful but possessive. She rocked against him and felt him hard beneath her. The knowledge that he wanted her sent heat pooling low in her belly. Adana. He broke the kiss, breathing hard. We should stop. Why? She kissed his jaw, his neck, tasting salt and that woodsy scent. Because if we don't stop now, I won't be able to. His hands gripped her hips, stilling her movements. And you deserve better than being taken on a couch. Reality crashed back. What was she doing? This man was dangerous. He killed people. He lived in a world of violence and death. Getting involved with him was the worst idea possible. She scrambled off his lap. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Adana, wait. He reached for her, but she backed away. This is a mistake. We can't do this. She wrapped her arms around herself. You're my protector, not my lover. We need to keep boundaries. Boundaries. He stood, adjusting himself with a grimace. Is that what you want? It's what we need. She moved toward the door. I'm tired. Good night. She practically ran from the library, her lips still tingling from his kiss. In her room, she pressed her fingers to her mouth and tried not to cry. Because the truth was, she didn't want boundaries. She wanted him, wanted his hands on her skin, his body against hers, his voice whispering her name in the dark. But wanting him was dangerous. And she'd already made enough dangerous choices for one lifetime. The days after the kiss were torture. Adana avoided being alone with Hyunwoo, but the mansion wasn't big enough to escape him completely. She felt his eyes on her during breakfast, watched him watch her while she played with the babies, caught him staring when he thought she wasn't looking. The air between them crackled with unspoken words and unfulfilled hunger. He didn't push. That was somehow worse. If he'd demanded or pressured, she could have fought back. But instead, he was patient, gentle. He left her favourite flowers in her room. He made sure Mrs. Cho cooked Nigerian food alongside Korean dishes. He played with David like the boy was his own son, making her heart ache with longing for something she couldn't let herself have. You're miserable, her friend Destiny said during a video call. Destiny was one of the few people who knew where Adana was staying, though not all the dangerous details. I'm fine, girl. You're living in a mansion with a fine man who clearly wants you, and you look like someone killed your puppy. Destiny leaned closer to the camera. What's really going on? It's complicated. Life is complicated. That doesn't mean you can't be happy. Destiny's expression softened. When's the last time someone took care of you? Really took care of you? Adana's throat tightened. That's not what this is, isn't it? From what you've told me, this man feeds you, protects you, provides for David, and looks at you like you hung the moon. Destiny shook her head. What are you so afraid of? Everything. The admission came out as a whisper. I'm afraid of getting hurt, of David getting hurt, of falling for someone whose life is so dangerous that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Honey, tomorrow isn't guaranteed for any of us. Destiny's voice was kind but firm. You could walk out of that mansion and get hit by a bus. At least with him, you'd have spent your last days being loved. After the call ended, Adana sat in her room thinking about Destiny's words. Being loved. Was that what this was? Did Hyunwoo love her? Or did he just want her because she'd fed his son? Was there even a difference anymore? The answer came 3 days later, covered in blood. Adana was in the garden with both babies, enjoying the afternoon sunshine. David was on a blanket, and she held Minjun on her lap, singing softly. The guards were positioned around the property, but she'd gotten used to their presence. She felt safe here. That was her first mistake. The gunshots started without warning. Glass shattered from the mansion windows. Guards shouted in Korean, and then Hyunwoo was there, running toward her faster than she'd ever seen anyone move. "Get down!" He threw himself over her and the babies just as bullets tore through the air where her head had been. More gunshots, screaming, the smell of smoke and gunpowder. Hyunwoo's body was heavy on top of hers, shielding her completely. She felt him jerk once, twice, and knew he'd been hit. "Hyunwoo!" She tried to push him off to see where he was hurt, but he held her down. "Stay still." His voice was strained. "They're still shooting." The battle lasted maybe 3 minutes, but felt like hours. When silence finally fell, Hyunwoo's guards surrounded them. Someone helped him stand, and that's when Adana saw the blood. So much blood, soaking through his white shirt, dripping down his arm. "Oh, God!" She scrambled up, still holding Minjun. David was crying on the blanket, and she grabbed him too, trying to comfort both babies while staring at Hyunwoo's injuries. "You're shot! You need a hospital!" "No hospitals!" He swayed slightly, and 2 guards caught him. "Too many questions. We have a doctor here. Hyunwoo, you're bleeding everywhere." "I'm fine." He wasn't fine. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. "Are you hurt?" "The babies." "We're okay. You saved us." Tears streamed down her face. "You took bullets for us." His smile was weak, always. Then his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed. The next few hours were a nightmare. The mansion's private doctor worked on Hyunwoo in his bedroom, while Adana paced outside with both crying babies. Mrs. Cho took them eventually, promising to care for them so Adana could focus on Hyunwoo. When the doctor finally emerged, his expression was grim. 2 bullets, one through the shoulder, one grazed his ribs. He'll live, but he needs rest. "Can I see him?" The doctor nodded. "He's been asking for you." Hyunwoo's bedroom was enormous, decorated in dark colours that matched his personality. He lay in the massive bed, shirtless except for the bandages wrapped around his torso and shoulder. His eyes were closed, but they opened when she approached. "Adana." Her name came out rough. "The babies. They're fine. Mrs. Cho has them." She sat carefully on the edge of the bed. "How do you feel?" "Like I got shot." He tried to smile, but it came out as a grimace. "Worth it, though." "Don't say that." Fresh tears burned her eyes. "You could have died." "But I didn't." His good hand reached for hers. "And you're safe. That's all that matters." "Why?" The question burst out of her. "Why? Do you care so much? Is it really just because I fed Minjun? Because if that's all this is, some weird sense of duty, then tell me now." "Duty?" He laughed, then winced at the pain it caused. "You think what I feel for you is duty. I don't know what you feel. Then let me make it clear." He tugged her hand, pulling her closer. "I want you, Adana. Not because you fed my son, though that's how we met. I want you because you're strong and kind and beautiful. Because you make me laugh. Because when I'm with you, I forget about all the blood on my hands and remember what it feels like to be human." His eyes locked with hers. "I want you in my home, in my life, in my bed. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep holding you every night. I want to be David's father and give Minjun a mother. I want everything, and I want it with you." Her heart hammered. "Your world is so dangerous." "Yes." "You could die any day." "Yes." "And you think I should just accept that? Just love you knowing I could lose you?" "Yes." He pulled her closer until she was lying next to him on the bed, careful of his injuries. "Because the alternative is wasting whatever time we have, and I've wasted enough of my life, Adana. I don't want to waste another second. I'm scared." The confession came out broken. "I'm so scared of loving you." "I'm scared too." His hand cupped her face. "But I'm more scared of not having you." She kissed him then, tasting salt from her tears and the pain medication on his breath. He kissed her back carefully, like she was precious, like she was everything. "Make love to me," she whispered against his lips. "I'm injured." "I don't care." She kissed his jaw, his neck, avoiding his bandages. "I need to feel you alive, need to know this is real." "Adana." His voice was strained. "If we do this, there's no going back. You'll be mine. Maybe I already am." She straddled him carefully, watching for signs of pain. "Maybe I've been yours since that night in the hospital." His hands gripped her hips. "You'll have to do most of the work. I can barely move." "I can do that." She pulled her dress over her head, revealing simple cotton underwear. Nothing fancy, but the way he looked at her made her feel like the most desirable woman alive. Beautiful. His hands traced her curves, reverent, so beautiful. She unhooked her bra, letting it fall. His eyes darkened with desire, and she felt powerful. She unbuttoned his pants carefully, helping him shimmy out of them despite his injuries. When she finally freed him, thick and hard and ready, her mouth went dry. "I don't know if I can." She stared at his size. "It's been a long time and you're so big. We'll go slow." He pulled her down for another kiss. "I'll never hurt you, Adana, never." She believed him. She positioned herself over him, sinking down slowly. The stretch burned, but it was a good burn. He filled her completely, and when she was fully seated, they both groaned. "Don't move yet!" He gripped her hips tightly. "Give yourself time to adjust." She stayed still, feeling him pulse inside her. This was intimacy beyond anything she'd experienced. This wasn't just bodies joining. This was souls connecting. "Okay." She rocked slightly, testing. Pleasure shot through her. "Oh, that's it." His voice was rough. "Take what you need from me." She moved slowly at first, finding a rhythm that felt good. His hands guided her hips, showing her what he liked. When she leaned forward, changing the angle, they both moaned. "Touch yourself," he commanded. "I want to feel you come around me." She obeyed, her fingers finding that sensitive spot. The combination of him inside her and her own touch pushed her higher. She rode him faster, chasing the pleasure building in her core. "That's my girl." He watched her with hooded eyes. "So perfect, so mine." The words pushed her over the edge. She came hard, her body clenching around him, pleasure exploding through every nerve. He followed her over, groaning her name as he filled her. She collapsed carefully on his good side, both of them breathing hard. His arm came around her, holding her close. "I love you." The words slipped out before she could stop them. "God help me, I love you." He turned his head to look at her, and his smile was pure joy. "Say it again." "I love you, Hyunwoo Park." "I love you too." He kissed her forehead. "My Adana, my heart, my everything." They stayed like that for a long time, bodies cooling, hearts beating in sync. Outside, guards cleaned up the aftermath of the attack. Inside, two people who'd found each other in the strangest way possible held each other and refused to let go. "What happens now?" she asked eventually. "Now you stay by my side." His grip tightened. "Now I make you mine officially. Now we build a life together. It won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is." He kissed her again, deeper this time. "But I promise you this, Adana. I will love you until my last breath. I will protect you and our sons with everything I have. And I will spend every day proving that choosing me was the right decision. Our sons." She tested the words. "You really see David as yours? He's been mine since you gave birth to him." He smiled. "Just like you've been mine since you fed Minjun. We're a family now. Nothing will change that." She kissed him again, pouring all her love and fear and hope into it. He was right. They were a family, Strange and unconventional, and forged in blood and milk and desire, but a family nonetheless, and she wouldn't trade it for anything. The attack changed everything. Hyunwoo recovered within a week, but his attitude towards security became almost suffocating. Guards followed Adana everywhere, even inside the mansion. She couldn't go to the bathroom without knowing armed men were standing outside the door. At night, Hyunwoo pulled her into his bed and held her like she might disappear. "This is too much," she said one morning after he insisted guards escort her to breakfast. "I can walk down the hallway by myself." "No." His voice was flat. "The last time I let my guard down, you almost died." "But I didn't die. Your guards protected us." "Barely." He pulled her close, his face buried in her neck. "Do you know what I saw in those seconds before the bullets hit? I saw my future ending. I saw Minjun growing up without you. I saw David asking why his mother was gone. I saw myself alone again." He pulled back to look at her. "I can't survive that, Adana. So yes, you get guards everywhere. You get me being overprotective and paranoid, because losing you isn't an option." She softened despite her frustration. "I'm not going anywhere. Promise me. I promise." He kissed her then, deep and possessive, his hands tangling in her hair. She melted against him, always amazed at how quickly he could make her forget why she was annoyed. Mrs. Cho cleared her throat from the doorway. "Mr. Park, your meeting is in 10 minutes. Hyunwoo growled against Adana's lips. "Tell them to wait." "It's Takeshi." Mrs. Cho's voice was grave. "He's called for a sit-down." Every muscle in Hyunwoo's body tensed. He pulled away from Adana slowly, his expression going cold and dangerous. "Where? Neutral ground? The warehouse district? It's a trap." "Probably." Mrs. Cho didn't look worried, but refusing will look weak. Adana watched the exchange, her stomach knotting. "Who's Takeshi?" Hyunwoo's jaw tightened. "The man who ordered the hit on you." Ice flooded her veins. "And you're going to meet him?" "I have to." He cupped her face. "This is how our world works. He calls for a meeting, I show up. We negotiate or we don't. But I have to go through the motions. What if he kills you?" "He won't." His smile was sharp. "I'm bringing 50 men. He'd be stupid to try anything." "Stupid people do stupid things all the time." She gripped his shirt. "Don't go." "I have to." He kissed her forehead. "But I'll come back. I always come back to you." She wanted to believe him, but the fear in her chest wouldn't ease. The meeting was set for that evening. Adana spent the day anxious, jumping at every sound. She played with the babies but couldn't focus. Mrs. Cho brought her tea that she didn't drink. The guards gave her pitying looks that made everything worse. When Hyunwoo emerged dressed for the meeting, she barely recognized him. Gone was the gentle father and passionate lover. In his place stood a crime boss. His suit was black, perfectly tailored, with a gun visible in a shoulder holster. His face was cold, empty of emotion. He looked like death itself. "You look terrifying," she said. "Good." He checked his gun with practiced ease. "That's the point, Hyunwoo." She approached him carefully. "Come back to me." His expression softened slightly. "Always." He pulled her into a fierce kiss. "I love you. I love you too." She held him tight. "Be careful." "Careful is my middle name." "Liar." He smiled, and then he was gone. The hours crawled by. Adana tried to read but couldn't focus. She fed the babies and put them to bed early. She paced her room, then the hallway, then the entire east wing. Mrs. Cho found her in the library around midnight. "He's back," the older woman said, "but you should prepare yourself." Adana's heart stopped. "Is he hurt?" "No, but things happened at the meeting. He'll want to see you." She found Hyunwoo in his office, standing by the window with a glass of whiskey. His knuckles were bloody, and there were spatters of blood on his white shirt. Not his blood, she realized with horror. What happened? She stepped inside and closed the door. Takeshi is dead. He didn't turn around. So are 3 of his top men. You killed them. Yes. He finally looked at her, and his eyes were empty. He threatened you, described in detail what he wanted to do to you before killing you, said Minjun and David would be raised as his sons after he eliminated me. His hand tightened on the glass. I beat him to death with my bare hands. The violence should have scared her. Maybe it did, a little. But mostly she felt relieved. Good. He blinked. Good? He wanted to hurt our children, hurt me. She crossed the room to stand in front of him. I'm glad he's dead. You don't understand what I did. He set down the glass and showed her his hands. Blood stained his fingers, dried under his nails. I didn't just kill him quickly. I made him suffer, made him beg, made his men watch so they'd know what happens when someone threatens what's mine. I understand perfectly. She took his hands in hers. You protected us. That's what matters. You should be scared of me. I am scared of you. She pressed his palm against her cheek. But I love you more than I fear you, and I trust that you'd never hurt me or